Despite this, Dudu remained true to his promise and continued to wait for Karina. It wasn't until 3 months later that Karina finally returned, revealing that she was pregnant with Dudu's child. Karina went missing, and it happened that she ventured into her former residence in the river world to see her master's children, as she had grown fond of them. She successfully returned to Dudu without being recognized. Karina stayed in hiding with Dudu for 3 days. After careful planning and coordination, Karina and Dudu successfully rescued her captive friends and returned to the human world. Her parents and the villagers who had gathered at the river bank were there to welcome them. Upon returning, Karina and her friends, in astonishment, met the entire villagers waiting for their arrival. However, Karina's absence had caused concern among her parents' neighbors. This led the villagers to question her parents. After learning about Karina's rescue mission, the villagers gathered to pray for their safe return. As Karina and her friends arrived, the entire village erupted into joyous celebration, and the joy of her friends' parents knew no bounds, as they would ever remain indebted to Karina for bringing back their children. But amidst the jubilation, Karina remembered her friend Dudu, who had been left behind in the river. She returned to thank him for his help and promised not to forget him. Dudu in turn pledged to wait for her at the river bank every first day of the month to reunite with her. However, when the first day of the month arrived, Karina did not show up, leaving Dudu feeling hurt and abandoned. Despite this, Dudu remained true to his promise and continued to wait for Karina. It wasn't until 3 months later that Karina finally returned, revealing that she was pregnant with Dudu's child. Overjoyed, Dudu vowed to never leave her side and proposed to marry her, pledging to take her with him to the river world. He promised to be visiting every week to see her. Karina, however, worried about her parents' acceptance of Dudu and the child. When Karina shared the news with them, they were disappointed and vehemently refused, insisting that she marry a man from the human world instead. They began to search for a husband for her, concealing her pregnancy of 3 months to the intending husband. Karina had come to love Dudu because of his kind and caring nature, but she faced a difficult choice. She had to decide between her love for Dudu and her loyalty to her family. Karina went to meet with Dudu, who reassured her not to worry. He promised that he wouldn't allow any other man to marry her. Dudu shared his big plan with Karina, telling her that he would eventually come to the human world to marry her. Dudu returned to the river world and shared the news of Karina having his baby. His people were all excited and pledged to assist him in winning his love and bringing her to their world. Among them was Dudu's old uncle, who had a friend in the human world. He told a tale of past harmony between the two worlds before discord drove them apart. He revealed that some individuals, including him, had maintained their friendship in secret. The old man promised to talk with his human friend on his next visit, and Dudu eagerly awaited. Upon the old man's friend's return, Dudu met him and discovered that he was actually Karina's grandfather. He promised to help Dudu and Karina marry, believing that their union would bring peace and unity between the human and river people. Karina's grandfather returned to the human world and revealed his relationship with the river people, which he had kept hidden due to fear. He declared that he would open up about it for the sake of his grandchild and great-grandchild to be, carried by Karina. He convinced Karina's parents that Karina could live in both worlds and Dudu could also live in the human world if he married Karina properly. Eager to make this happen, Karina's grandfather sought the king and elders' approval, proposing that Karina marry her riverman as a way to show gratitude for her rescue of lost children in the river world. He also suggested that this union would bring peace and unity between the two worlds, ensuring that no one would ever drown in the river again, as even their children would possess the power to travel to the river world. And so the elders considered the proposal. Will they agree? The king and elders, after contemplating, decided to allow Karina to marry Dudu in hopes of fostering harmony between the two worlds. Excited, Karina hurried to the river world to inform Dudu. However, upon hearing the news, Dudu was overjoyed and at the same time cautious, and escorted Karina back to the river bank to protect her from other river people who might take her captive. He advised her to stay away from the river world until they were officially married. Dudu, filled with joy, returned to his people to share the news of humans extending an olive branch. His uncle, seeing the potential benefits of friendship with humans, convinced the River King to consider making peace. The River King agreed and sent a message to the Human King proposing a meeting. Both sides were apprehensive about the meeting, fearing ambush. After much deliberation, they agreed to meet at the river bank, each staying on their respective sides. On the chosen day, both kings and their guards convened at the river bank, breaking the old taboos. They celebrated their unity and agreed to visit each other's lands freely. A special day was set for Karina and Dudu's marriage. It was a joyous occasion as people from both worlds gathered to witness the unprecedented union. The river people performed magical marine dances, and Karina danced beautifully. After the marriage, Karina's parents visited the river world for the first time. 3 months later, Karina gave birth to a healthy baby boy, the first of his kind, a union of both worlds. The baby brought immense happiness to Dudu and Karina as they embraced their unique family. From then on, Karina and Dudu lived in harmony, proving that love knows no boundaries, and they lived happily ever after. This is Umma's story time. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I am Amarachi Ihoma, the young storyteller.